After 50 years in the business, there's still a few kinks to be ironed out at rehearsal.
Mommy says no. No, okay, stop. Hold it. Stop. Okay. It's all way too long.
But at an age when most people are having hip replacements, Cliff Richard and the Shadows are still shaking theirs.
We started when rock and roll was in its infancy. We were kind of being written off as one-hit wonders and overnight sensations.
You better get a funny feeling that you're falling in love with me. You better get a funny feeling that you're falling in love with me.
It's tough to get that, keep that going, but when we all got together, the enthusiasm, the excitement is still there.
It's an overused word, but these guys really are legends.
I like to rub this one in. We started 5 years before the Beatles, you know. The Beatles came along and technology had already started coming in, whereas we recorded mostly in mono, and sometimes our records were available also in stereo. Hello.
But you had to have two speakers to listen to it. Very few people had two speakers.
You need someone to lean on. When you look, there's no one there. You're gonna find me way out in the country. Baby, you're gonna find me way out in the country.
Sir Cliff Richard, as he's known these days, has more UK chart singles than any other British artist. And Hank Marvin, one of the most influential guitarists of all time, is so famous, his name is rhyming slang for starving.
So if I was to say to you, I'm Hank Marvin, what would you say?
Well, I'd offer you something to eat.
Yeah, but he wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, a number of years ago, it was one of the guys in Cliff's band who said to me, do you know your name is used by musos for feeling hungry? And then I heard later on it's in the Oxford Rhyming Dictionary. And I thought, well, that at last is fame.
It's 50 years since they got together, and they're taking the show back out on the road.
Somewhere in New Zealand, on that first tour, we were in a DC-3 and landed on a grass runway.
Dunedin. It was Dunedin.
Dunedin.
Yeah.
We landed on grass.
It was unbelievable.
Hello, Dunedin.
I remember one of the gigs, I think it was the first gig we did, our equipment didn't arrive. We had to go on stage in the clothes we'd flown in, and we had to borrow guitars.
The young ones, darling, we're the young ones.
There's been an entire river of hits that have run under the bridge in that time.
Say yeah, we say yeah, we say yeah. Now song.
Cliff Richard is these days perhaps as famous for his lifestyle choices, a staunch Christian and celibate, as he is for being a pop star.
We say yeah.
If people don't quite work out what you are, you're an enigma. Well, they don't quite understand me, and I love it. But if they still, doesn't stop them speculating, and it's fun sometimes, and could be destructive others, but I'm not going to allow it to.
Sir Cliff, in fact, has pronounced himself the most radical rock star ever.
Nobody sleeps while we're on. I believe that radical means you're different. And I seem to have been at certainly a certain period of time where I was the only one who didn't swear or spit at the audience or throw TV sets out of the window. So I said, who's radical? If everybody else does the same thing, they're all being I'm the nonconformist.
I think good, clean living and drugs has been our success story.
Well, I don't think you can count Panadol. But...
A nice cup of cocoa at the end of the night, you know.
We're all going on a summer holiday.
50 years in the business, that's as long as Michael Jackson lived. These guys are pushing 70, and they certainly don't look it. Then again, Cliff Richard hasn't looked his age for years.
If someone suggests eating broccoli is good for you, I eat packets of it. And I've been to BBC makeup people who've said, oh, have you heard of this new cream? And I say, what is it? Get me a gallon. And you slap it on, and thinking every one of us is still facing the environment. It's not just women anymore.
So 48 years since they last played New Zealand, Cliff and the Shadows are coming back. And they've already had to put on an extra show in Auckland because of the demand.
The respect has to be there because it is 50 years. I mean, it's a lifetime, more than a lifetime, you know. They may not love Apache or they might not like Living Doll, but the track record, you know, the fact you're still here You know, here we are, we're going to be filling, you know, all these places that we're going to all over the world. You have to respect that. It doesn't matter who you are. We lose a lot of people because they just don't even know that we still record. And that's the frightening part of it all. But still, you know, I'm not going to stop, are you?
Definitely not.
Beautiful Killarney, about to start a mammoth tour. You've been rehearsing for a few days. How's it going?
It's going brilliantly, actually. I wasn't really worried about it because, you know, we've been around a long time. These guys wrote most of the stuff, so they kind of know it. And I've been singing it since the day I was born. So I felt fairly confident, and quite rightly, it's turned out as I expected. It's been not easy, but it's been good.
But I think I'm right in saying you haven't played together for at least 20 years. Are you a little bit nervous about the prospect?
Played together 20 years ago at Wembley.
Yeah.
Wembley Stadium, the event.
Your event? But touring?
No, we haven't toured together.
Right.
Well, we got on really well when we first started off. You know, our lives was basically touring when we started.
Yeah. For money, and certainly none of you have anything at all to prove, so I beg the question, I ask it of all of you really, why are you doing it?
Well, I mean, I think it's a worthy celebration. You know,
how many people have done 50 years?
Well, that's right. All we have to do is stay alive, and we'll always be 5 years ahead of the Beatles, 5 years ahead of Rolling Stones. They've all still got 5 years to go before they can celebrate their 50th. This may be the last chance that we'll ever tour together. We probably do odd bits and bobs now.
Will it definitely be the last time?
Well, I reckon it probably will be. Do you notice the word probably crept into that? I think, listen, a tour of this size, it is a big tour. It's going to take us, about 4 months? Once we've done this, we can't really do any more. This is, I think, for most of us, the ultimate, the 50th anniversary reunion.
Well, the air is good, and the day is fine, and the pretty girl has her hand in mine, and the silver stream is as warm as wine.
And what about the fitness thing? I mean, let's face it, yeah, some of you are even older than me.
We've all had checks, you know, we've all had insurance. I mean, obviously insurance, you have to be insured because Hank and I will be 68, Cliff 55, Cliff 43.
When you're on the road, what are the rules of the game? I mean, you don't pretend to be sort of buzzing pals who see each other every 2 minutes. So when you're on the road, what actually happens?
I don't know whether it's true for everybody. You have to become a unit. And we've all got to get on well. It's one of those things that has to happen. And fortunately, we've always got on well.
I gather you've sold something like 250,000 tickets within the first few hours of this concert, this tour being advertised. What sort of people come to see you now?
Every now and then in a tour, you'll see in amongst the crowd that rush, and how my lot rush to the front, I've no idea. But they do, they rush to the front, and you'll see people, maybe 25 or 30, you can see that they're a younger element, and how they would even know about us, I don't know, because, you know, radio is not too rock and roll friendly anymore in terms of whoever presents rock and roll. There seems to be a kind of ageism thing, and we're not considered hip or in. And so I don't know how those young folks could ever possibly want to even come.
They won't get there this time, because the Shadows fans will be at the front.
Now, you've had a #1 hit in the last 5 decades. Can you make it 6 decades, do you think?
It would be fantastic. It really would be good. But of course, again, they moved the goalposts. I still feel that I had my #1 of the 2000s because when I released 21st Century Christmas last year, it was the top-selling CD in the country. I sold more CDs than the 75 CDs below me. But I got pipped to the post, the goalpost, by 7,000 downloads, and I don't get any downloads. So, in a way,
you have to buy your fans' computers.
Yeah, I will.